something. Do not let Mario eat, sleep, or be with another woman until I say. I told my mother, and then she says, are you going to do it? And I told her, first of all, I don't think there's a saint that you would pray to that would do harm on somebody. I ended up throwing that away. That's the sort of thing that she did. One time I was visiting my dad in the early 60s. We were playing in the backyard. He was digging something for whatever reason. He found a jar the size of a regular mayonnaise jar. And in the jar was a little voodoo doll made of cloth. It had his picture glued to the face. My dad said somebody put a hex on me. He pulled the doll out and burnt it. My dad was a womanizer. He had this one woman that he often went to spend the night with. My mother went over there to pick him up. The woman tells her, he's not going anywhere. He loves me. He tells her, I'm going home with my wife. He started laughing. She told him, you better laugh all you can, because after tonight, you will never laugh again. He was never able to laugh again. He would pass out, which was scary and unexplainable. Another time in the late 50s, my brother was walking home in the middle of the night. While he was walking, he heard a woman laugh really loud. He turned around and looked. There was this woman with a black cloak on. She's laughing and laughing, starts walking faster and starts chasing him. He's scared to death and ran all the way home and told my mom what had happened. He said, look at my back, because I think she pulled me by the t-shirt. When she lifted his t-shirt up, he had 2 big scratches from the woman on his back. My sister, she was the princess of the house, even though there was 14 kids. She was laying on her bed and she's flipping through the magazine. Somebody grabs her by the wrist. She started cussing and jumped off the bed thinking it was one of us. She looked under the bed. There was nobody there. She went running to my mother. Everybody has experienced something. The same brother and my other 2 brothers, he went, something would happen. He and his wife were at home. The phone starts ringing. He tells her, Yola, get the phone. She goes to get the phone. It's not plugged in. The same brother in the same house went to bed one night. When they lifted the sheets, found an upside-down cross made of dirt on their bed. After I got married, I was living with my in-laws, in 71, and I had my baby. He was 3 months old. I fell asleep. Back in the day, it was normal to prop the baby's bottle in their mouth when you put them down. That night, something woke me up. When I opened my eyes, I saw this leprechaun thing jumping on my stomach. I don't think he was wearing green, but he was wearing a hat. I couldn't feel him, but I could see him. Then I heard my son choking. I ran to him, picked him up because he was choking on his milk. Around the same time, my mother-in-law was sitting on her bed. The master bathroom door was open, and the plunger just came out bouncing from the bathroom all the way to where she was sitting by the bed. I got up in the morning and went to the bathroom. I seen a trail of blood from the bathroom to the kitchen. I cleaned it up, then I asked everybody if they had a bloody nose or something, and they said no, nobody had. So that blood just appeared out of nowhere. Eventually, when my husband came out of the military, he went back to McFarland and got hired by this rancher to drive a tractor. I thought it was normal for a husband to get their check on Friday and leave and come back on Sunday night. I was a big chicken to begin with, and my baby at that time was probably around 2. I was sitting in the corner of the living room just holding him, feeling like I had to protect.
A family gathers around the dinner table. Their radio sits on the kitchen counter. The kids and their father sit in their seats while their mother serves each plate and sets each one down, one by one. She serves her own plate last, but before sitting down, she remembers to turn on the radio and flips through different stations. It's time for everyone's favorite show. They listen every evening during dinner. And as they're eating and laughing, the show suddenly stops, and a disturbing message plays over and over again. These radio frequency hijackings or broadcast signal intrusions don't happen often, but when they do, it ends up a mystery. And indeed, the first commercial radio stations began broadcasting in the 1920s. This kicked off the golden age for radio, which lasted well into the 1950s. Families would gather to listen to their favorite shows together. The most popular drew in millions of listeners. By the year 1931, the majority of U.S. households had at least one radio. In 1933, 60 million people tuned in to Roosevelt's first fireside chat. And in 1938, 32 million tuned in for the War of the Worlds radio drama show. It was extremely popular. When TV became widely available in the 1950s, it took over home entertainment. And check out how fast this grew. Before the year 1947, less than 5,000 Americans had televisions in their home. But only 5 years later, 12 million Americans had televisions. And by 1960, almost every household had one. Frequency hijackings happen to both radio and television signals. When it comes to radio, hijacking a signal is not as complicated as it may seem. Now, I'm not saying to do this, but here's an overview. All that's needed is an FM transmitter that can overpower the broadcasting frequency. For those of you who have taken programming or computer courses, you probably know what a Raspberry Pi is. It can actually be done with that. So you can kind of get an idea of how simple it can be. There have also been cases where hijackers have spliced audio directly into a network feed. When it comes to newer television broadcast systems, though, it's a little more difficult, but whatever the form of entertainment, radio or television, broadcast hijackings can be terrifying to experience. WOPG AM, formerly known as WOKO AM, WOKO AM, was one of the first radio stations in Albany, New York. It was assigned to frequency 1440 kilohertz by the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission. WBAB, a Babylon, New York classic rock station, and the radio jockey had just announced the Pink Floyd song was up next. When he stopped talking, muffled voices could be heard but not understood.